Hello, Jeff's back, and this is not a league race. I would just start that off and say that this is not a league race. If you've looked at the title of this video, if you're watching this video, chances are you see that this is my first race in Cockpit cam review with no racing line assist on. And when I say that this is my first race, I mean this is the first time I've been outside of time trial using the Cockpit cam review and no racing assist line, or no racing line assist. So that's sort of the context here. You'll see that this is on Bahrain. If you've watched some of my videos, you'll likely know that Bahrain is one of my favorite tracks. It's one of the tracks that I'm most familiar with. So I felt like this was going to be a really good track for me to do this for the first time on. And this is in advance of a league race in roughly 48-ish hours, so 2 days after I'm recording this. And the plan for me is to run this league race with Cockpit cam review and no racing line assist on. And the race is at Bahrain, so it's a 25% race at Bahrain for the league that I'm in. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I feel like, this is something that I haven't done before, obviously, since this is my first race doing it, but I thought it would be fun because personally I feel like it's really immersive to be in the cockpit. And there's this one specific channel that I've seen on YouTube that whose name is escaping me. I mean, I don't think I'm actually subscribed or anything either, but this guy pops up, this guy or girl, I don't actually know, pops up occasionally with these 100% races that are just super sim. I mean, I think this person does no assists. I know this person does cockpit view. I know they're 100% races. The videos are beautiful, so it's so fun to watch, and it looks so cool. They've got the helmet mix audio on, so I just thought that would be cool, and I decided to just try out Cockpit. And there's somebody else in my league, Juzzy, who posted his onboard from the race we did last week, and it was in Cockpit view with no HUD, and I just thought, wow, this is so cool. This looks awesome. So I decided to give it a try. So here we are. And we will see how it goes, and you will see how it goes in this race. But you now have the context for what I'm doing. You saw my qualifying lap. I did a short qualifying. I put down 3 laps. Second lap was not great. And the third lap, I got AI in my way. And also, it wasn't a great lap. So I started like 13th or something, I think. 14th, I think. Yeah, 14th. I started 14th. And at this point in the first lap, I am at P20. So it was really tough to start off this lap. And just right off the bat, like I said, this is my first race doing this. And right off the bat, I realized there are some changes that I need to make if I'm going to run league races with this format, with the cockpit view and no racing line assist. You see me there tangle up with I don't know if it was Mazepin or Schumacher, but basically I used a flashback, so please don't judge. Again, first race, and I never expected to win this race. Just wanted to see what changes I needed to make and how it was going to go, and just kind of figure out what I could expect. One of the things that I need to add, certainly, is the proximity arrows. I absolutely am going to need proximity arrows to do league racing. There are multiple incidents in this video where I just have no idea that there's a car behind me. And if I'm constantly checking the rearview mirror, or if I'm constantly checking the side mirrors, then yeah, I should probably have a decent idea. I might actually turn the virtual rearview mirror on up at the top of the screen. I don't know. I haven't really decided. It sort of takes away, I feel like, a little bit from your whole sim perspective, but it certainly would help for league racing. But the proximity arrows, I was a sitting duck out here multiple times without the proximity arrows. There's even one time I sort of got hoodwinked because I asked Jeff, the race engineer, what car is behind me. He says, Antonio Giovinazzi is right behind you. The gap is 25 seconds. Well, I had just come out of the pits, and I'm pretty sure that the gap had not updated yet, because he certainly was not 25 seconds behind me, and we made contact very shortly after. So that's the kind of thing that proximity arrows would help me avoid, certainly. I know if a car is coming up on me, and I can hopefully put myself in a position to defend against it, or at least not run into it, because it was just lack of knowledge that had me run into these guys a couple times. You're going to see another situation here where I run directly into the back of my teammate, needed to use a flashback. I think it's my second. I probably use another one later in the race, maybe two, I can't remember, but they were a must for this race if I was going to finish on the lead lap, frankly. And this is a 25% race as well, just sort of along the lines of what we're going to expect from this league race that I have coming up in a couple days here. But as I said, Bahrain is a track that I'm really comfortable at. I feel like I know the braking points pretty well. I'm not perfect by any means. I'm not saying that I'm going to set a world record when in time trial on this track. It's just not going to happen, but I'm more comfortable with the braking points here than I am at a lot of other tracks. Bahrain is probably my favorite track, I would say. Definitely the track that I'm most familiar with, where I've run the most laps. It was also the first race that I ran on a wheel. And that race didn't go well, but it was my first race on a wheel, so not that that has any bearing whatsoever. But I'm good with the braking points. I'm decent with the braking points, I should say. So it felt like a natural track to try this for the first time on. And I think, you know, I said the reason that I was doing this is because it felt more immersive and it felt cooler. But through the race, I have to say, I'm still thinking that. You still have info on your MFD so you can see what's going on. You can obviously understand if you're using your overtake, your ERS, or if you're not. The DRS was a little hard to get used to because it's basically hidden on the wheel. It's somewhere on the wheel or on the MFD, and I didn't know where it was at first just because I'd never driven in cockpit view. So at first I was like, how do I know if my DRS is on? But actually, if you watch, and hopefully I'll get DRS here in a second, you can see at the top left of the MFD on the dashboard, it lights up when you're using DRS. So it lights up with 5 lights, I think, when DRS is ready, and then you hit it, and then it goes down to 2 green lights. So I didn't know that, but now I know that. And it's good to know, obviously, so that you know when you can engage DRS. So we are on lap 4 here. I'm up to P16. Jeff suggests a different strategy for me on the tires. I mean, same tire strategy, just pitting later. And as you saw and as I mentioned, it was a really ugly start for me. I was mainly very cautious. I was worried about hitting other cars, so I just was super, super conservative and braked way too early, and I had no idea where cars were around me. Again, proximity arrows would help with that, I believe. But I was super conservative with it and just decided, hey, I'm going to live to fight another day. And also it unintentionally, I guess, gave me a chance at doing a last to first challenge like Yarno does. But I didn't convert on it. Well, I hate to ruin the video for you guys, but I do not convert on the last to first. Got a nice little pass there on the other Haas. And then I think I make a go at this. Yep. Took a go. I get past that McLaren. I'm assuming that's Ricardo. Couldn't tell. But it does a little switchback on me because I sort of overshot the braking point a bit. But fortunately, I'm able to quickly get back in a position where I can pass him. He sort of bumps me on the right side there. But AI on this was 78, and I end up getting the fastest lap, I believe. So, and it was not particularly close. So you would think, yeah, I just got the fastest lap right there. That's what I was thinking. So that's maybe an indicator that the AI here is too low, but of course, I'd rather err on the side of too low than too high. I'm not going to run 110 on my very first cockpit view race with no racing line and get absolutely stomped. I got stomped hard enough as it was, but this was a nice AI level to give me some opportunities to make some overtakes, provided that I could keep it clean, which was a big if, given that I don't have the same visibility that I typically do in TV Pod, which is what I usually race in, TV Pod camera view. But this is fun. This is fun. That's what I was aiming for, is a more immersive, more fun experience. And you may be saying, hey, Jeff, if you really want to be immersive, you'll turn off traction control. You'll turn off ABS. You'll go manual gears. Maybe someday. Not today, but maybe someday. You see me get to DRS here. I'm in P14. We have a nice little go up the right side. Try to leave the room on the inside, but I think whomever that was backed out a bit, and I'm in a position here. I seem to gain a lot of time on this little on this wide radius turn there and managed to take that position as well. So I'm up to P12. We are on lap 5. And originally I was supposed to pit on lap 6, but Jeff suggested that I change to lap 8. So I decided, hey, okay, let's go for it. We'll do it. And I am expecting some of these guys to start pitting pretty soon. It looks like they do not pit yet, but I'm hoping that I can get into the points before everybody starts pitting. Obviously, it doesn't matter that much, but I want to get as many overtakes on the track as I can. And I feel like I've got a really good opportunity here. I'm going to get DRS certainly into this next DRS zone and hopefully be able to take another spot from this, what looks like a Ferrari in front of me. Couldn't get it right there. I did brake a little late, kind of went outside a bit, but again, another DRS zone coming up pretty quickly, so I'm hoping that I can take advantage of that. In terms of the settings that I'm using for the actual camera view, I've got a pretty tight FOV, which I think looks good to me. That was the main thing. I wanted to be able to see the MFD. I wanted to be able to see what was going on. I don't like that super fisheye camera look that you get when you zoom out the FOV a lot. So this felt like a pretty good one to me. I don't remember the specifics of it, but I think I got it from a Marcel Kiefer video. He showed his, and I copied them a bit completely. Turned off the camera shake and the camera movement. Not a big fan of those, but I have probably the key thing here is I have the look to apex limit at its maximum, which was really, really, really weird to get used to at first. When I first turned that on and started messing with that in time trial, I was getting almost a motion sickness type feel. It was really weird. I wasn't ready for it. And after running some laps with it though, I really like it because it sort of imitates what you would naturally expect to happen as you're driving the car, right? I mean, if you were actually driving the car, you're going to be looking towards the apex, which of course is why they have that as a setting, right? It makes complete sense. But you saw me right there, actually. I asked Jeff, who's the driver behind me, and then immediately get bumped by that driver behind me. And then you see the damage indicator pop up. I think I might have gotten wing damage right there. Or I don't know, it could have happened at another time. But my next 2 laps there before I pitted were absolutely brutal. I had no pace. I lost a lot of time on the track. I would have liked to see what I could have done if I hadn't gotten wing damage because I think I lost a lot of time on those 2 laps. But you see here we are lap 10, and my teammate has pitted and comes out of the pits slightly in front of me in P13. I am in P14 here. I feel like I'm going to have a go at my teammate here. And this is actually, you can't see it, but I just come out of the pits and I'd asked Jeff, hey, who's behind me? And he said Giovinazzi's 25 seconds behind me. Well, I think Giovinazzi is just the person that ran into the right side of my car and gave me some side pod or underbody damage or whatever that ended up being. I get a notification from Jeff later. So yeah, I asked Jeff again who's behind me. He says Giovinazzi, the gap is 1.4 seconds. Well, I'm not the fastest guy on the track, but I guarantee you that Giovinazzi did not make up 24 seconds on me over 2 laps or whatever it was. So I just think I asked at the wrong time. I got this false sense of security and just put myself into a really bad spot then by thinking he's 25 seconds back when really he's a second and a half back. And he makes contact with me. And then I make contact with the back of Latifi, my teammate. I just couldn't stand to face the team principal after that little incident after the race, so I decided to flash back a bit and give it another go. Still almost ran into the back of him, but sort of backed out a bit to hopefully avoid that contact. And it goes without saying, I'm going to say it anyway, obviously in a league race, I'm not going to be able to use flashbacks. So I've got to clean that up. I've got to get more comfortable on the track, not making contact with guys, because there are certain things that you do in a league race that are going to ruin the race, get you a penalty, get you in hot water with the other guys in the league. So obviously I want to be as courteous and smart and careful on the track as I can while still trying to get my pace and trying to get my results. You see me pass Latifi there. He was no match for me. I'm built different. I'm the best driver, or I'm the fastest driver, certainly not the best driver, but the AI got me in a place where I'm going fast. Check my rearview mirrors there. Latifi cannot catch up with me. Fast forward 2 or 3 laps here. We cross the line. we are P13. I couldn't catch the guy in front of me either, but P13 with a couple flashbacks, with AI that's too low, it's not perfect. I need to keep practicing, but in the sense of immersion, it was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more races in Cockpit, hopefully.